Hello, everybody. Mariner here. How are you doing? And welcome to the matchup show on Haul for Gameweek 15. I've returned, I think, for a rest, Gabe. I'm quite looking forward to getting back into FPL. It's been a little bit traumatic.
Well, I will say, Mariner, that you look pretty rested for somebody in your situation. I have to say that. So congratulations. You're making it through. But you have a long road ahead of you, don't you?
Oh, yeah, of course. I've done it before, remember, but it was a long, long time ago. But well, thank you very much anyway. And also just a shout out to all the haulers. Really, thank you very much for all the lovely messages and that both me and the missus have received. If you didn't know, we've had a little girl. So she's 10 days old now already. It's crazy.
Double digits. So, they grow up so fast.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've managed to sneak out of the night feed the last 24 hours. So I'm a little bit more alive today. But anyway, there we go. Gabe, we need to timestamp the episode.
Yeah, so it is Thursday, the 2nd of December. It's about 5:07 Hawaii time. So so make your own calculations. I am in Mountain Standard Time here in Arizona, and it is 8:07 a.m., which makes it 3:07 p.m., correct? In
correct.
GMT. So we are before the final two matches of game week. What is it, 14? 15?
Yes, before game week 14. 14. Yes, yeah. So I think that's an important point to say for a start, is that what we've done is the data which we're going to show you is actually game week 13 data. Because we haven't got all the game week 14 data and it's been too short notice to be able to get it done. But that said, we have managed to just caveat one or two bits of data as we go on about it anyway. So we'll dive into it. But first of all, of course, we would love you, if you've not already, hit that like button, smash that like button, as Nima says. Do also hit the subscribe, hit the bell for notifications as well. If you are listening to us on a pod, please, and particularly if you're on Apple, please leave us a 5-star review. That would be greatly appreciated. It does us the world of good. And of course, we also have the mini league, which is, as I'm finding, quite competitive, to say the least. FG1XNB. It's still open for entries. You can still join. There's a shirt from Shirt Loot Box. There's Matt Whelan's book. And there is a 1-year subscription to Fantasy Football Fix.
The biggest prize of all is to call yourself the head hauler, though, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's all about being the head hauler, right?
Yeah, that's right.
The head hauler, the chief mate. Not condoms. We just can't talk about them again. It's ridiculous. Anyway, let's quickly say hello to a few people, Gabe. I'll quickly rattle through them. But Matthew was in at 6:22 a.m. My time. Hello, Matthew. Well done. You've got the shout out for being the first one for today. Donnie's in, sending me nice wishes. Thank you. FPL Sherlock. Nice to see you. It's nice that your schedule fits us this week. Robin's in. Hello, Robin. Pavan. Hello. Ramanthan again, as usual. Right. Who else? Surav's in. Blue Danube guy. Or Danube. I say Danube. Why does Nima say Danube? It's bloody Danube. It's a bloody river. And also, we've got the Fantasy Pavilion. And they're the guys from Trinidad, if I remember, are they?
Gerard. Hello, my friend Gerard. Yes,
I
just did a draft league only for the fixture crunch, just for the month of December, with FPL Trinidad boys and Gerard at FPL Pavilion, which was a lot of fun, and I'm going to win.
Yeah, we'll give them a shout out, because I have to say, I watched them. There's a nice little small and friendly show, but no, shout out to them. So go give them a look. Go give the Fantasy Pavilion a look. It's good fun. So yeah, and we got a runner in, Astralish. Oh, Simeon's in as well. Astralish is in as well. So fabulous. We'll come back and say hello to a few more people later. And Akib, yo daddies. What more to say?
I love Akib, man. Akib he's got a great sense of humor, that guy. Yo,
Yes,
Daddy.
it's named after the river Danube. So it's Danube,
Yes,
not,
it's not
Danube.
Danube.
Get that right, Nima, from now on.
Nima gets a 3-letter word wrong. You know, you can't expect too much of the poor boy.
True enough. Well, he has got fancy dress due anytime soon, so
Yes,
we'll see that. All right, Gabe, shall we crack on? We've got some philosophy. And I've been listening to these quite carefully for the last couple of weeks when I've been missing. And I'd like to announce that I still have no bloody idea what you're on about.
I think you'll understand this week's. I think this week speaks to us all, FPL managers, especially those that have heard, people maybe talk about confirmation bias. And this week, our quote comes from the German physicist Werner Heisenberg. We all know there's an FPL Heisenberg. I don't know if there's a relation there or not. But Heisenberg was basically the father of the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, which I won't get into the details of that. But his quote goes as follows: "What we observe is not nature itself, but nature exposed to our method of questioning."
Right. Okay.
So
how do I use that to my 2 Manchester City clean sheet wipeouts in the last 2 game weeks with my double Manchester City assets, right?
Well, I'll tell you that's not the right application for this quote. This quote is not going to help you with the clean sheet wipeouts, unfortunately. But
I observed I was very unlucky.
Okay, good example, actually. You observed you were very unlucky. If we work backwards and we reverse engineer that, right? So if you observe that you're very unlucky, what was your question? Was I lucky?
Why did it happen?
The question was I lucky? So if that's your question, then you can imagine the kind of, if that's your input, you can imagine the kind of output you're going to get from that, right? So maybe you have to adjust the question. It's not why was I, or was I unlucky, or why was I unlucky, right? It's, will this happen again?
Yeah, probably.
Is this likely to happen again? And the answer is probably, because this is FPL. Certainly it'll happen again. So get used to it, right?
God. I can't believe it. It looks so good. At least Diaz. At least I was patient enough to hold Diaz.
There you go.
For those points, right?
But what I will say about this is, remember a while back is we had a show and we were encouraging people to take a stab. It was like kind of the inner workings of an FDR, and take a stab at the FDR. The reason different FDRs exist is because there are different people in the world, and different people in the world see things differently, and they ask different questions about things. So our answers are really more a reflection of our questions than they are a reflection of reality. And we have to remember that there's a barrier between like reality and what we're experiencing. And that's like all of our filters.
Reality and FPL.
And a big barrier.
Yeah. Shitty nappies and picking a team. Yeah, that's my choice at the moment. But I've already seen the first wind-up merchant. Anyway, Akim's already in. Gabe, how's Adama Traore doing?
Oh, he's a slick buddy, isn't he? He's
my slick little friend. What did someone call him on Twitter? I didn't write it down, but I really fell off my chair laughing. You'll have to look that up later. Something oily brick something.
Yeah. I'll have to.
We'll come back to. We'll come back.
Here, the rapidly moving oil brick wanker. Rapidly moving oil brick wanker.
I don't know where does he get brick from?
Because he's an oiled brick. Because he's built like a
house. Like a brick outhouse.
Exactly.
Brick.
Outhouse. And then there's the poor woman in the stands. Traore sent that ball wide off target, obviously, and it smashed that woman's nose.
No, we can't laugh.
We're not laughing.
We are.
The rapidly moving oil brick wanker is a menace. He's a menace to the public. He's a menace to FPL teams.
He is. We'll talk about Dennis.
He's on my
We're going to talk about Dennis the Menace later as well.
Denis, let's go.
Denis? Mm-hmm. It's bloody Dennis.
It's not Dennis.
It bloody is.
Where's the boy from? Where's he from?
You and your bloody pronunciation.
He's from Côte d'Ivoire.
Oh God, it probably is.
Emmanuel Denis.
Christ. Yeah, it probably is Denis then, isn't it?
It is Denis.
God. Anyway, right, I got that wrong as well. Where we now? Everyone, let's take the piss out.
Yeah, you're still better than Neymar.
Let's have a quick look at fixture difficulty, I think.
Right.
So, because I've not had a chance to do the VODs, and there's the plug for the VODs, because they will be back soon, but probably when we've got slightly longer deadlines, for obvious reasons. It's a bit chaotic, as you can well understand. I wanted to give everybody a quick update on where we are with the fixture difficulties. So, first of all, with respect to attack and at home, let's have a quick look at the FDR and the variances. So this is again, as we've said, after we've updated the stats for Gameweek 13. So we're mid-14 as we speak. So Liverpool are top, surprise, surprise, with a fixture difficulty of 1. So that's remember what we said, between 0 and 7, 1's good, very good, 7's really bad. And they've also got an improving variance of 0.5. So to remind you, that means the form's improving over the season.
Could I interrupt you for a quick second to correct? I was who was it? Akib. No, it wasn't Akib. Ramanathan. He said that apparently it might be Emmanuel Dennis, because I thought he was Ivorian. He's Nigerian. So my mistake.
Oh well, there we go. It's about time I got something right.
Yeah, about time I got something right.
Yeah, right. Can I get on with this?
Yeah, go ahead. Corrections. We want to be
correct. So anyway, we said Liverpool are top. Surprise, surprise. City are second, 1.1. They're slightly worse at home, oddly enough, with a slight negative variance. It's pretty neutral, to be fair. And Chelsea third with fixture difficulty of 1.8 and improving. At the bottom, Watford firmly rooted. Still firmly rooted, but improving. There is a green shoot of recovery, and I think that's going to be a common sort of a thing. Certainly, I've not been on for a couple of weeks, and it's the first time I've run these variances for a while, and things have changed a little bit. You know, Watford have picked up now a tiny bit, still bad. Norwich and Villa joint second bottom with 4.1, and yeah, we haven't seen the Villa bounce yet at home. Arsenal are really picking up at home now. That's one of the key. I can't laugh at them at home anymore. They've got a fixture difficulty 3.5. It's mid-table, but they've got a minus 2.2 variance. That's really good form now compared to where they were, and they're improving nicely. Wolves and Palace are pretty good as well, although Wolves don't seem to be able to do anything at the moment. I don't know what's quite going on with them. As a Huang owner,
recovering,
like a recovering alcoholic. Yeah. As a former Huang owner, I Huanged him straight out of my team this morning very quickly. I was going to move to King. I was going to do the Huang King move, but then I thought it was a bit too rude, so I ended up buying Dennis.
Yeah, we all know you really wanted to do the wanking.
I really did.
Movement.
I was going to say it was a shuffle from one player to another.
The wanking shuffle.
God. It's getting really bad. We're getting really bad. That's it. Adult.
Where's Nima?
Teams of concern. Spurs. Now look at that. They're still obviously due to play tonight. We're going to talk about Spurs, aren't we, a bit later? But they might rank 6, but the jury's still well and truly out, I think, at this moment in time. I can't wait to sell Kane. I really can't wait to sell him. And Leeds as well, look, they're still not doing very well. And the Bamfordless still just, but he's due back soon. So will that change things? What do you think, Gabe, on the fixture difficulty, first of all, for attack at home? Is there anything which I've missed in my summary there, or is there anything you want to question, pull me up on, or anything?
So let's see. The first thing I'm going to work from the top down, and the first one that stands out, and I'm looking at the VAR, is Spurs. Obviously, Spurs at number 6 is a big surprise. Certainly for me, who has a bias against Spurs, so it's like 20 places too high, in my opinion. There's only 20
teams in the league.
That's my point. No, but Spurs is an interesting one because they're 6, and these stats go back how many game weeks?
Well, I mean, this obviously
is,
goes right the way back through 2019, or 2020,
yes.
2021 season, I should say.
Right. So it's the one that has the 3 segments, and
That's right.
and it shows that it goes back quite a ways and that's why Spurs is so high here. I think when people are looking at this, if the way I look at it, Spurs are 2.7, right, ranked 6th with a VAR of 1.7, which is, negative is better for the VAR, positive is worse. So they are in the worst form of the league, and I would say that the VAR is the real number to look at for Spurs, because that tells the tale of this season Spurs more than the overall number of the 2.7. And if we're looking at that number, then Spurs are effectively last for attack at home.
Look, I mean, something's got to change sooner or later. I'm absolutely bloody convinced. But anyway,
I mean, sure, something's got to change because that makes Wolves for like the second best, and Arsenal the best.
And Arsenal the best, which clearly isn't the case.
It's not the case.
No,
but I think it's the case for Spurs.
Yeah, but it's the case of like the starting point. Really, it's where you are, where you were, where you are.
Yeah,
that's the idea. So I mean, look, you can't turn around and say Spurs at home to Norwich is a bad matchup.
No,
you can't say that, and so we have to look at it in context. But yeah, I know what you're saying.
You can say that Spurs at home are bad, just period. Like independent of the matchup at the moment.
I'll get a prediction out of you later.
You're going to bring out what you're getting out of me right now is some more philosophy, because you say at the moment there is only at the moment, nothing else exists, man.
It's getting too bloody heavy. I've got to go do some more nappies later.
This is how I wake up every day. So
probability calculations and all sorts of things.
That's right, binomial functions. And then just moving down further, I want to bring up Villa. Or two more things I want to bring up is Villa. Are Villa in trouble because of? I mean, they're quite poor. Their form is poor, but I think we've seen a little bump from Gerrard in their play. So I think they're one to watch. Maybe a team in transition that the FDR and the VAR will pick up in time. I think that'll be changing in time. And then the last one I want to say is a shout out to Watford. They are last. Still considerably 4.9 compared to 4.1 for Norwich is above them, but they are improving. Their VAR I think was minus 2.5 2 game weeks ago.
Yeah,
that's how much worse they're getting. So they have improved by 3.0 in the variance here. So they're another team to watch, perhaps in transition, heading into some difficult fixtures, but they have some assets that are quite benchable and just maybe still good to own.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. And I think the important thing to say about teams like Watford, Brentford, and Norwich, they've got a very small base of data. So their numbers will jump around a lot more than the other ones. So that's where it becomes. We'll see that with Watford defence, because we've managed to poo-poo that a little bit. Pardon the nappy puns. A few of those today. But anyway, we'll look at that in a second. On the road, well, I'm going to rattle through this. Liverpool have just about still broken the metric with a fixed difficulty of 0.2 and a minus 1.4. They're just incredible. It's just beyond a joke now.
How can they be? I mean, look how much better they are than Chelsea, right? 0.2 compared to 2.0.
Mad.
And look how much, and they are joint best, like most improving as well.
Yeah, well,
they're going to go into negative numbers here.
I started a petition this morning for 4, wanting to own 4 Liverpool assets. Because I think my 3 assets I owned basically combined EO of 400% for 3 assets. Salah was 100, Trent was 100, and Yotta's nearly 100. Now at 10k, it's ridiculous. We'll come on to this later on.
Yeah, this is a larger theme.
Yeah, big, much larger theme. Chelsea, 2, West Ham 2.6, and at the bottom, Norwich remain bottom. But again, you're starting to see a green shoot. There's a little bit of a positive variance, and Pookie scored a cracking goal. So let's see whether they're going to turn a corner. Now, I wonder if Dean Smith's banned FPL from them. Maybe he has. Conte bans ice cream, Dean Smith bans FPL, doesn't he? Or something. Is that right?
You know, it's not uncommon for South American coaches when they play their qualifiers, they ban sex, and they say no fornication until after the game to keep.
Well, I hope they're not doing it during the game.
Hey, I've never been in one of those locker rooms, but
no,
I guess. Man,
Anyway,
it's 8:30 in the morning, man. Come on.
A complete train of thought again. Norwich Norwich at the bottom. Norwich 5 point. Like I said, bad. Arsenal still bad. 2.3 away from home. Arsenal are a completely different beast. Completely different beast. And Everton now, really, I think Everton are in free fall. It's horrible. They're in a horrible run now, aren't they? It's the worst form they've had, I think, in Premier League history. That
prick Amari Gray scored. Just sold him.
That prick Gray.
Prick Gray. But here's what. But Everton are. They will be recovering soon. They're getting players healthy. Doucouré's back. Calvert-Lewin should be back in probably a couple of weeks. So yeah, I mean they've been decimated by injuries for quite some time now.
No, we'll see anyway. I mean, looking at this though, you can see the teams who obviously people are interested in. People are interested in Liverpool, City, Watford now, Wolves. Jimenez has been of interest now, but obviously, clearly, I think Wolves fixtures start to turn now. So I think they're a good sell. I think at this moment in time is my view. And of course, there's teams like West Ham. We've got Antonio question later on. Their form turned the other way. Leicester's still doing the same. Rodgers is still not picking any out. God knows why. Spurs, Villa, yeah. But I think it's fairly clear what we're showing on the screen. Actually, I don't think there's an awful lot of debate on this.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Watford's away form is notable, right? They're improving significantly under Ranieri. You can see that. Wolves away form, I think, is also notable. I'd be curious to hear from Arsenal fans what their opinion is on Arsenal away, because that it is a curious one. It's such a stark contrast.
It is very stark. But Nima said to me, he said he wouldn't. You know, he's always said, I don't fancy us away from home. He's been saying that now for a few weeks.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Ray's in, isn't he?
Yeah.
Ray's in. See what Ray wants. If Ray wants to drop a note in, or if Siver's in. I think Siver's had a little boy as well. I think there's more children in the FPL community, I think, from by what I'm hearing.
Damn, Siver's a busy boy.
They're always busy.
Yeah.
Always busy. On to defence then, at home. So City is still top. 1.8 and improving, despite these late faux pas, which have really completely hurt me. Yeah, it's ridiculous. These two clean sheets I've just lost just recently is like, I can't tell you how much of a kick in the teeth it was. It was it's been really bad.
I would be close to top 10K if it weren't for that.
Close to top 1. I ran I'd be close to 1. Yeah. Oh well, what to do? Do? FPL gods, eh? Brighton still second, 2.1. 42.3 third, and at the bottom, Watford again propping everybody up. And then the other two whipping boys, Newcastle and Norwich, have swapped places but remain detached. But no, Norwich are improving. Look, Norwich defence, they were that bad. And they're now, again, small data, but there's a bounce. Yeah. That is a bounce, right? Definite bounce. So, can Norwich now move that form away and give Spurs a hard time? I don't think so, looking at the away numbers. But yeah, obviously Norwich jump out. Southampton and Palace also, form-wise, against previous, are in the best form, but clearly not the best form altogether. And Manchester United remain in the mud, really. Let's see what happens when our friend Rangnick, is it Rangnick? I forgot.
Rangnick.
Yeah, Yeah, or the Wheelstone Raider. That's what I reckon he'll look like after a few weeks. So if anyone wants to see what Ranieri will look like in a few weeks, Google the Wheelstone Raider. I showed you the video earlier.
Yeah.
I love it. Fabulous. Well, yeah, Gabe, what to say on these on the home side of things? Anything you want to jumps out really? Palace still very good.
Palace. Yeah, Palace is a weird one. I mean, they are improving away. But Palace at home is a really nice bet. Not yeah, they're similar to Arsenal in that respect.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They're a bit of an enigma, though, aren't they, Palace? I can't quite work them out.
Yeah. I mean, again, I think also a team in transition. Southampton is interesting. Quite the improvement from them recently. I don't know what they're doing differently, if anything, or if they're just settling in as well. No, that's it.
Yeah, Liverpool sneaking up slowly from a very low base previously as well.
Yeah.
Particularly bad season last year defensively, didn't they? And anyway, let's look at defense. Let's have defense away then. And City 2.1, Chelsea 2.4, Spurs 2.9. 1, 2, 3. Now Watford fourth at 3.2. We've poo-pooed this, haven't we? Because we've had a look. We've basically we haven't got a great deal of data for Watford, and their numbers are now slightly away from home. Actually, to start with, they were slightly better. These numbers have been skewed quite badly. If you actually take Watford's recent form, they're about 7th or 8th, aren't they? So we checked that at lunchtime. So I think this is the problem with small brackets, small amounts of data. Occasionally it'll throw a problem out. That's why we wanted to quote that anyway. At the bottom, yeah, Burnley 5.1, Norwich 4.9, Manchester United 4.4. They're going to get my mirth for the next few weeks. I've decided until they turn the corner. It's like I'm turning my fire on Manchester United. That's it. That's where I'm going. But you see Aston Villa minus 0.4. They're improving now, and you can see a number of teams improving defensively. Liverpool, particularly. Villa, yeah.
That middle block is improving.
Yeah,
and then the upper block is
apart from Arsenal. Sorry.
Apart from that deep red right in the middle of that middle block.
Yeah,
but also the top block is getting worse.
Yeah, true. Well, only marginally. I would say Brentford are the one who are falling off a cliff a little bit. Interesting enough, the Arsenal, again, another very, very strange one. Remember, this is the difference between my stuff and your stuff. I don't look at the goalkeeper, do I? Ever.
Right.
My fixture difficulty doesn't look at the goalkeeper.
Right.
Yours does.
Yeah.
And that's the Ramsdale factor, because you wouldn't think Arsenal are as bad as that.
That's true. That's 100% Ramsdale, the Ramsdale effect.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. It's a good advert for NetxG, by the way.
Definitely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Anything you want to add on that before we move on to the main event, which is this week?
No, moving on.
Okay, cool. All right. So let's crack on then. So let's have a look at the matchups. We're not going to do full predictions this week because we're a bit short for time. So what we're going to do is we're just going to run through the matchups, and we're going to go whether we think there's going to be 2.5 goals or not. We can just do it briefly, Gabe, I think. Let's look at the best matchups for the week. Well, surprise, surprise, Liverpool away at Wolves, even away at Wolves. And this is how crazy it is, because Wolves are no slouches at home defensively at all. You only need to look at the points that SAR owners have been getting in the last few weeks, right?
Well, we'll get to NetxG and we'll see what how the difference is there.
So I think I think we might have a little bit of divergence, just to set the scene. Manchester City second, 2.8 away at Watford. Is it away at Watford or are they at home?
City, I forgot. I'll look it up.
I don't know. Maybe it's at home. Anyway, I think it's at home actually. And finally, Spurs in third. Finally, Spurs have a decent matchup. Finally. I mean, ridiculous, right? Home against Norwich.
City are away. City are away.
Right, fair enough. Yeah. I was right then. So, how many weeks? 15 weeks it took to get a decent matchup for Spurs. Bloody hell. And look at this. And this is one I really want to talk about, Gabe. We'll come on to this, I think, a bit later. But look at Newcastle, 1.5. Then just look a little bit further down and say Burnley, 0.9.
Look at Burnley and Newcastle hanging with the big boys there, huh?
Burnley and Newcastle hanging out with the big lads. Hanging out with the big lads.
They're the ugly boys at the party.
They are.
But they are. They're at the party, so good for them.
They're at the party. They're in the party this week. So, yeah, Newcastle and Burnley. Who would have thought it? Newcastle and Burnley assets for this week. But, Gabe, is this the week for Spurs? Or, are we, am I just clutching at straws being a Kane owner?
I mean, we all are, right? I own Son. I can't say this is the week for Spurs until I see Spurs have a week.
Which we might see tonight.
Maybe. After I see them have a week, then I would be more inclined to predict them to have a week. It's like, it's not real. It's impossible until it happens once.
Yeah. Kind
of thing. So it might be, that's, you definitely hold Spurs for this week, obviously. But I wouldn't, my hopes are not high.
No, me neither. No. I'm afraid. But anyway, I think that's just through the school of hard FPL knocks, I think, And at the bottom, well, Watford minus 2.8. Ouch. Norwich minus 1.9. Palace minus 1.1. West Ham minus 1.1. Really not pleasant for Watford. Norwich are going to struggle clearly, I think. But they might, let's say Palace, West Ham. Oh, dear me. Yeah, the only thing is it's is my double clean sheet going to get annihilated again? You can just think it, can't you?
Away to Watford. You can see King.
Oh, fucking hell, no way, please.
Since you didn't get him, King will score. You brought Dennis in, King will score.
Yeah, you watch. So anyway, that's the matchup. So I'm going to go for Liverpool, Manchester City, and Spurs to all score 2.5 goals.
Wow, you're going for Spurs to score 2.5 goals.
Yeah. And I'm going to go one more as well. I'm going to go for Newcastle to score 2.5 goals or more as well.
Damn. I'm going to wait until we get to the NetxG stuff to
Well, I'm going to go with those 4, right? I've picked 4. So just remember those. Right. All right. Defensively, let's have a look at this. Manchester City, Spurs, Manchester United, and Chelsea in order. 2.8, Manchester City. Stand out again. Stand out defensive matchup. Dear God, please. You watch. They'll get a clean sheet and one of my players will be bloody benched.
Both will be rested.
Or both.
It'll be Stones and Laporte.
No, Stones is injured. Stones is injured, apparently. That's good news. So I think I might get one on. But yeah, can you just see it? They're going to get a clean sheet, and they're going to do a Dave on me, aren't they? They're going to do a Aspilicueta on me, and they're going to be on the bloody sideline when they get this bloody clean sheet. Spurs
Zinchenko will score.
Yeah, don't. Spurs 1.9, Manchester United and Chelsea 1.1. I'll come on to the averages in a second, but we're getting to a point here that Spurs have got 2 good matchups, Gabe. Attack and defense.
I don't, until I see, like I said, until I see something, there is no good matchup for Spurs. It's like saying Norwich have a good matchup. Do they? That doesn't, it's not compatible for me right now. So I could not have Spurs anywhere in the top half.
Yeah.
But just in case, because of the quality of their players, the quality of the manager, it could happen in any moment, to your point.
Yeah. And look, look at the defensive wise, there's going to be some spankings, I think, as I've said already. I think there could be some spankings this week. I've got a feeling. Let's see what happens. But yeah, I'm the only one I'm not sure about, and we'll come on this, is like I say, is this Wolves one. I think you worried me a little bit with your NetxG. We'll come on to that in a second. And here we go. So here's the averages, and I've put 3 players on the slide for the podcast. I'll read them out. We've got Reguilon.
Nice.
We've got Cancelo. And we've got Trent Alexander-Arnold. And I think any one of those 3 could get 10 points this week.
You know what we have? We have Joao Cancelo and Trent Alexander-Arnold in a photo, and we have Sergio Reguilon photobombing. Like, hey, I'm here too. I'm here. I can do stuff.
His hair's pointed up as well, isn't it? Look at his hair.
Yeah, he looks like a good boy.
Yeah, smart haircut. But but
for all the haircut takes, come to net that.
Come on, Gabe. Is Reguilon gonna get a haul? Is he gonna be the hauler of the week? Sleepy Joe? Come on. Prediction. No. Bollocks. No.
Cancelo all the way.
You think Cancelo? Well, if he plays.
If he plays, yeah.
Yeah, if he plays.
Always.
That's my worry. I'm not sure he's going to play. I'm really worried about that. He's due a
rest. I mean, he's due a rest, but Kyle Walker has also played 90 for every 90 for a while, right? As well, right? And he's quite a bit older. So maybe Kyle Walker needs the rest. They're a bit lighter in the fullback areas as well, since one of them's in prison as well, which doesn't help. There's that, but Zinchenko's back, and I actually thought Zinchenko would have more of a role this season than he's had. I wonder if he's going to start having more of a role now moving forward, because he had a nice Euro, he had a great end to last season, so I thought he'd build on that. That could still happen. Yeah.
Well, anyway, Ignatius has just said more likely Cancelo gets a yellow card to be unavailable. Not this week, though. He's already played this week, so maybe one for a future week. I think that's that. Is he on 4 now?
I believe he is. I believe he is.
And I'll tell you what, that's a great point. That's a great point Ignatius makes now. If you're looking at transfers, make sure you check the number of yellow cards.
Yes.
Because we're just at that time of year where you need to check the yellow cards and see what's going on, right?
Yeah.
Very, very much so. So anyway, I'm going to go with sod it. I'm going to say Reguilon is going to get 10 points. There we go. There's my.
You are all in on Spurs.
Eh?
You're all in on Spurs.
I'm on him like a car bonnet.
You're on him like
on it like a car bonnet. Yeah, I'm on him. I think James at Planet FPL, who travelled all the way to Burnley to get rid of poor James. I feel so sorry for him. At least he got pissed anyway. But yeah, he's got his treble. He's got his treble Spurs. I think he'll do all right this week. There we go. That's my prediction anyway. Gabe, that's my bit. I'm going to bring you in now for your NetxG, right?
Okay.
So this is what we've got this week for NetxG based on home and away data. Do you want to take everybody through it?
All right, so NetxG, we're looking home and away. This is home and away NetxG. Reminder, NetxG takes into account the pre-shot model of XG, post-shot model of expected goals on target, and the goalkeeper role and expected goals prevented. And surprise to everybody, Burnley's on top for NetxG at 2.19.
Reset.
Exactly. Burnley just broke NetxG. They're not supposed to be top of anything.
Just broke the Mariner, I think.
But I think that goes to show just how bad Newcastle are, and how it's a little bit skewed because Newcastle, they've played all 3 of their goalkeepers, and Darlow has been by far the best. They played Woodman, who was atrocious for a long time. But remember the Cristiano Ronaldo goals? Those were like the Woodman gifts. So I think it's skewed there because of expected goals prevented. Second, we have surprise, surprise, Newcastle against Burnley.
Yeah, I told you, goals. And
again, Burnley have not been good defensively, and Pope has not been great in goal either. So they're at 2.01. Expect a 2-2 is a very likely score there. Next, we have Manchester United home against Crystal Palace, 1.97. And then we have Aston Villa against Leicester, who have been very suspect defensively at 1.65. And then we have interesting. Then Spurs. I was going to skip Spurs there, but no. Spurs sneaks in against Norwich at 1.62. And then interesting that Palace against United at 1.59. So like
that's their defense being crap, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's the defense and how much they concede in terms of expected goals and expected goals on target.
Definitely. I have to say I'm really quite surprised. This is, and I'll move on to the next slide in a second, which really cements this. But you know, seeing Newcastle and Burnley being at the top of this metric as well as the other metric now tells me that it really that both metrics are quite hot on them, aren't they? I mean, it's just been called Cornetto in the chat by Ramanthan. So I'm going to say, Gabe, is it just one Cornetto we're going to get this week, or is it should I sing it? Just one Cornetto, give it to me. That was the advert, right?
Give it to me. See, I didn't have the benefit of the exposure to those adverts. So.
That was a great advert. Every people who lived in the UK years ago, they remember just one Cornetto. So is it going to be one Cornetto, or do you think they'll get a brace, or are we going to have a bit of wood?
Burnley has scored 2 or more goals in 3 out of the last 5 games. They've scored in 4 out of the last 5. So from an attacking point of view, they've been improving, and Emmanuel Cornet has been, the kind of the centerpiece of that. He has 2 double-digit returns in the last 5, 3 returns overall in the last 5. I think it's just seeing Burnley's attacking form thanks to the insertion of Cornet.
It's not really a Burnley player to me. He's too good.
He has skills, which is strange for a Burnley player.
I mean, there's a question in here somewhere. I'm sure I've seen it. Someone said, did Burnley look any good against Wolves? The answer to that was no, they didn't.
No.
But it was Wolves, not Newcastle. By all accounts, it was it would have been last on match of the day, I think.
And those games will happen. There was just not much going on in that game. But Cornet is like he's the next Antonio. He's the wing back converted to clinical striker.
Interesting.
So he's a poor man's Antonio.
Yeah, I haven't got him. But anyway, we'll see. To be honest, there's plenty of other options in midfield at the moment. That's right. And I'll quote Andy at Let's Talk FPL. I watched his show earlier on, and he mentioned that he thought Wood might be an option given the fact that there are so many options in midfield. Maybe Wood might be an option up front instead, where there are not so many options.
Right.
It's an interesting take. I thought it was quite an interesting take, that. So shout out to Andy for that.
On the other end of the spectrum for NetxG, at the bottom we have West Ham facing Chelsea at 0.71. Now 0.71, the way I would read the numbers kind of below 1 is if it doesn't reach the threshold of 1, I probably wouldn't predict a goal. Because it's like, if you're thinking probabilities, like, and we were talking about this as well, Mariner, 0.71 could be 7 chances of 0.1, right? And how, is there a likelihood that will go in? But once you get after that 1 threshold, then it is more likely for there to be a goal. So this NetxG would say Chelsea would predict a clean sheet for Chelsea and potentially a clean sheet for Southampton. I think that's more borderline because of the opponent. Since it's Chelsea, you would round down against Southampton. Maybe you do round up at 0.85.
You're not predicting a clean sheet for Man City, though. I'm just saying that.
Man City, no. No. NetxG has not predicted a clean sheet for Watford opponents in quite some time.
I'm going to rage Diaz out.
Rage.
Honestly, I will rage him out this time. That's it. It's with the first rage transfer of the season. Okay, let's look at the comparison between NetxG and fixture difficulty. So there we go. Look at this. So Newcastle and Burnley for NetxG rank 2nd and 1st respectively, and 4th and 7th for fixture difficulty. So they sit top.
There's agreement there.
Good agreement, actually.
Yeah.
Now, the thing is, though, you know, I know how my fixture difficulty works, right? It works on shots and things like that. Now, yours works on a little bit, takes into account goalkeepers. So clearly, there's not a lot of hope for the goalkeepers there. But my argument, Gabe, is I'm not sure they're going to get a shot on target. There's probably more chance of having to put a hard hat on in the Gallagher end of St James's Park, and I hope to God it doesn't hit in the face in row Z. There might be tons of shots. I reckon there could be loads of loads. It could be a real end-to-end game, because as far as I can see, this game is must-win for Newcastle. It's so important.
Yeah, it is.
And Eddie Howe, I'm not sure he knows how to defend, does he?
No. Well, I mean, we have no evidence of Eddie Howe defending.
Maybe that's a bit unfair, considering he was a defender.
I don't think it's unfair. We've seen enough of him as a manager.
True enough. So anyway, Newcastle, Spurs, Burnley. Newcastle, Burnley, Spurs, I should say. Top three. And then Manchester United, Manchester City, Chelsea and Villa. Then we get some divergence. Look, Liverpool, you've got them ranked 13th.
13th.
Is your NetxG pissed?
It is. No, that this stood out to us, right? When we were talking last night, and yeah, that looks off. And so this is what happens when it's home and away, and it's the goalkeeper. So Jose Sa, he has the highest expected goals prevented at home this season. The most expected goals prevented at home this season with 1.5. So that's what's dragging Liverpool down. If we bring Jose Sa like back to, say, the average, kind of, let's just say he's facing Mo, and Mo is in the form of his life, if we're making this narrative, and we bring him back to the average, he would be in line with probably Chelsea and City, like 6, 7, 8 area, not down to 13.
You're doing a Watford you're doing my Watford. You're backtracking. I did one on Watford earlier on, a couple of slides as well. I mean, look, I'll say this: Wolves have not played the top three at home yet. My view is that top three are just so good this season. He's not going to save that. I mean, no one would have saved that the goal which Salah slotted into the corner against Pickford.
I disagree. I disagree.
You think he could have saved it?
I think Pickford messed up big time on that goal.
It's Pickford, but
exactly. Well, the thing is, here's what he did. I'll have to find the screenshot. Maybe I'll share it on Twitter. Is Pickford, right before Salah's going to shoot, right? Pickford moves to his left, but he already has his near post covered. It's already covered. So when he moves to his left, he moves out of the way of the ball, and he's covering beyond his, like, outside of his near post, like area that if the ball goes there, it won't go in. But Pickford shifts to cover that. So Salah's finish, brilliant as it was, is made much easier by Pickford's just awful awareness and movement. He's just a bad keeper. I'm shocked he's the England keeper. Awful.
I thought it was a good finish. Anyway,
it was a good finish.
Pissed on my
very
bonfire.
savable. Very savable in my opinion.
Just pissed on my bonfire. Then there we go.
It was the only finish. It was the only place Salah had to put it. It was obviously going there. Like Pickford, go home.
Well, anyway, I still stand by what I'm saying. They have not come across these top three yet, and they're coming across them all pretty soon. So let's see how they do in a few weeks. It'll be very interesting to see how Wolves do as we come out of the Christmas break. Once they've played, do they play all three of them at home in the next few weeks?
Yes, in the next, I think 3 of the next 4, something like that.
Right. That'll be very interesting then. God help them. That's going to be a tough old time. So anyway, look at Troll and Wilson on the screen, everybody. Maybe a last hurrah. Oh, that sound posh then. Hurrah.
Hurrah.
Maybe a last hurrah.
Hurrah. Wilson's going to score this week. Everyone's going to score this.
Yeah. I don't want to know. But yeah. But let's see. Okay. Fantastic. There's a couple more deviations, but I think we'll move on, Gabe. And I think, look, we'll just invite questions into onto Twitter about NetxG as usual. And also in the comments. If you've got any comments, guys, remember to make sure you leave the comment in the comments things below, because we will answer them. We're starting to get back to a bit of normality here in Singapore, at least. So I'll be able to start answering one or two things going forward.
So there's people are taking exception to my Pickford hate.
That's all right. I don't mind that. I'm good. Good. Yeah, Rubber Ducky being a bit harsh on Pickford, I think. Pickford did make a few good saves from around. I fully agree. Pickford should have done way better. There we go.
So Pickford is a fine shot stopper.
You've just I read that one. That's bad. One Pickford is trash, and then I read up and noticed it was you.
Yeah, that's me. He's a fine shot stopper, but anytime he needs to use his brain, that's where he falls apart.
Yeah. Raman, when I'm talking about last hurrah for Callum Wilson, I'm actually talking about selling him.
That's the hurrah, getting rid of him.
Yeah. Although saying that, interestingly enough, I did actually look at Fantasy Football Hub and their predictions, and he's not a million miles from the top still with respect to forwards. But that might be the fact that there are very few forward options.
Exactly. Yeah.
More than Callum Wilson being the best thing since sliced bread. Right. Okay. Zonal matchups, Gabe. We're going to have a look at it a bit differently this week.
Nice.
So I've managed to get a little bit of stuff done whilst I've been on leave and in between the various nappies and, everything else.
And the stuff for the baby.
And the stuff for the baby. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm just talking
your
about
nappies
myself there, changing my own nappies. Yeah, that's all right. So, look, let's have a quick look at this. On the left, City 4.4, chances per 90 expected. United 4.1. Villa 3.8. Villa 3.8. Interesting. Mm-hmm. Down the centre, Arsenal 4, Liverpool 3.8, Southampton 3.8, Brentford 3.7. And down the right, Mo Salah 4.5. But interestingly enough, that's the lowest, Gabe, I've seen Liverpool down that right-hand side for weeks.
That's true.
Weeks and weeks.
And this has been a topic, right, in the community, just regarding Salah. So, Salah went 4 straight weeks without a double-digit return, right? As Firmino got injured, Jota comes into the fold. Maybe he takes some of the attention, and then of course before coming back with his 15-point haul this past week, which is why you always captain him. But I think the FDR, the zonal FDR here is taking that into account a little bit. Just that the less of a reliance on the right hand side, because Jota is more of an attacking player, more of an incisive player than Bobby Firmino.
Yeah. No, I think it'll be interesting to see what happens with that one. Look, let's just quickly pull a couple out here. Manchester City left, obviously that could be Cancelo. Could be Zinchenko, could be Sterling if he's out on the left, could be Foden, could be anyone.
How far away is Grealish? Do we know?
Yeah, well, he was on when he came on because he got booed. They booed him, didn't they? So he came on. Manchester City right, 4.1. Gabriel Jesus, maybe. My wife said, why did they call him Jesus? That was the question earlier I got. So Manchester City 4.1 also, but that could be Cancelo if indeed Walker takes a rest.
Mm-hmm.
Interestingly enough. Arsenal 4. Aubameyang. How did he miss that bloody chance last week? My God. That was straight out of the Ollie Watkins school of post hitting, wasn't it?
That's all mental right there. You saw like his leg came out and it wasn't, he didn't like lock his ankle. He didn't have a firm like punch. He just kind of like swayed at it like a weeping willow or something like that. And that's a mental thing. It's a confidence thing.
Yeah. It didn't do me a lot of good. Although to be fair, he shouldn't have had the chance because Smith Rowe should have buried the header. in my
Smith
view.
Rowe should have returned in that match. It was well set up for him, and he did have some chances.
Definitely. I bench Smith Rowe this week. I'm not benching him next week. I'm not benching him in 15. Newcastle and Burnley, look. Let's home in on those again. 3.4s, 3.3s, and down the right, Burnley 2.4 and Newcastle 3.8. Newcastle 3.8 down the right. Who's that going to be? Fraser?
He played on the right. I don't know, man. I don't see anything good from Fraser yet. I mean, I know Hal likes him.
Well, they fell out, though, didn't they, towards the end?
Yeah.
They did fall out towards the end of the time at Burnley's and down at Bournemouth, sorry, as I should say. But yeah, anyone else at Newcastle really jump out? Akib's saying, can you talk about Matt Ritchie? Well, no, not really. I don't know. Could he get something this week? What do you reckon?
Is he suspended or no?
Is
Matt
he?
Ritchie? He might
be. Actually, I think he is.
I think he's suspended.
I think he's suspended, and is Lascelles suspended as well?
Oof.
I think they both are.
Let's see. I'm
Good
looking
point.
it up right now.
Good point.
Doesn't say Ritchie's suspended, so I guess Ritchie's in. You know,
who is? There's 2 suspended.
The thing about Ritchie is he's a Newcastle defender for 4.9. Is he really an option? I don't think so.
Isn't it?
I don't think he's worth the time.
Expensive. Maybe 4 point. I was quite interested at one stage in Manquillo, but the trouble is, I mean, I think he played last week, but
Clark is suspended.
Is it Clark?
It's Clark.
Yeah, I think there's 2. I think Lascelles is as well, from off the top of my head.
Not showing up here, but anyway, we'll move on from.
Anyway, not to worry.
Newcastle defense is not.
So, all right, so let's keep moving because I want to now bring up the zonal matchups for the longer term. And I think
just really quickly here, a note, yes. Yeah, and it's an obvious point, but I think it's worth making. Man City center zone is lower than left and right. So if you're Donny says Ritchie and Lascelles are suspended. Okay, yeah. That's what I thought, but it's not showing that.
Strange. I thought they were as well.
Anyway, but yeah, just to note that City attack more from the flanks. So when we're talking about a player that's playing maybe the 9 or the central area for City, maybe that's not such a good thing. Maybe we don't want Foden in there, or maybe City has dropped from the center because Foden has been out. Just something to keep an eye on. That City's more powerful on the flanks.
Interesting.
In terms of chances created.
Interesting. All right. Look, let's have a look at the longer term zonal matchups, and I'm going to bring a gentleman up here because I'm sick of talking about Cancelo and Salah. I really am. It's boring.
Akib calls this guy Oily Watkins.
Oily Watkins.
Oily.
Well, I don't think he's oily. He's got hair gel in, maybe. I don't know. Apart from the obvious picks of Cancelo and Salah, then, let's be honest. Let's have a look at someone else. And I said earlier on, I think I'm seeing some green shoots of recovery at Aston Villa. And I then started to look at the matchups. And I'm quite interested, Gabe. Their matchups down the left between 16 and 18, 3.6, and 19 and 21, 3.5. Now, that's by no means brilliant. But you always say you look for the zone when there is a difference between left, centre, right. That's one where you can perhaps home in on. So I'm homing in on this. And Ollie Watkins is 7.4 million, 3%-ish owned last I looked, with favourable matchups. He scored a very good goal last night. I really like him as a option in my forward line. What's your view?
I like him. I like his matchup. I think he's a little too expensive for my liking. He just feels like maybe $500,000 too expensive. I mean, 7.4 is significant. And what if it's an Ings day? Like, do we know when, like, what that relationship is?
He's still out, isn't he? Still out.
For how long? Well,
I don't know. I have no idea. We'd have to check Ben Dinnery. But look, my perspective is that
it's on unknown return date, so it's going to be a while.
He is ever present in the last 6. So he looks rotation proof. They are turning a corner, clearly. He looks to be getting back to some form. And I mean, he's not the sort of player who ever tears trees up and gets those double returns, is he? But if he's, popping away with, 3 or 4 returns out of every 5 at that price, then I'd be quite happy with it.
Yeah, no, I think, and there are so few options in the forward line, right? That I think he's definitely a consideration. Certainly, he has. I think Leicester is a good matchup this week. That left-hand side, the 3.6 on the left, some of that may be still the Luke Thomas effect from earlier in the season when he was quite vulnerable when Ricardo Pereira went out and Castagne moved to the right. Luke Thomas left a big vulnerability for Villa for Leicester on that left-hand side. So it might be skewed by that, but I do like his matchup against Leicester. The next one against Liverpool, that could still be a decent matchup. If Trent is pushing up, I think Liverpool could be susceptible on the left side. And then after that, you're looking at Norwich, Burnley. Chelsea's a difficult one, of course. Then Leeds, Brentford. I mean, it's United, Everton, Leeds, Newcastle, Watford.
I really like him.
Until February.
Like him for the Christmas run. I really like him.
Through February, until the end of February. He has a decent run. So if we're starving for options on forward options, Watkins could be a good shot.
I think if he's still fit and still looking something like by about game week 17, I think he'll be in my team.
Mm-hmm. I like that shot.
Yeah. Let's just clarify let's just correct ourselves. In fact, Donny's corrected himself. The game weeks are coming so thick and fast. They were suspended.
This past game week, right? Yeah, that's what I thought. I know.
Richie's already been suspended. So they're actually available again now. And you are right. It's Kieran Clark who is not available, having been sent off.
Okay.
Right. So let's just get that right for the podcast. I'm sorry. I don't know what day of the bloody week it is here, let alone what game week it is. I didn't even know. I'm surprised I've got the slides right. I normally get the game weeks wrong on the slides.
You're still trying to figure out the philosophy in your head.
I've given up with that. Completely given up. Anyway, not to worry. Gabe, also, I just want to bring up West Ham as well. 3.9 and 3.9 for the left and the right between game week 16 and 18, dropping back only very slightly to 3.6 and 3.4 between 19 and 21. I know I've sold. I'm pleased I sold Ben Rama 2 weeks ago.
I was going to ask, you're going to bring Ben Rama back.
Thank God I sold him for Jota. But look, I mean, are we seriously considering bringing a West Ham asset back in game week 16?
Oh man, I don't know. A lot of people are talking about Bowen. I'm not so high on Bowen as others. I think if he is a prone to tactical rotation, then that's a problem for me.
I tend to agree with you. I was really hot on him a few weeks ago, and then I saw him being dropped for. Was it Lanzini? Did Fornals play, or was it Lanzini?
I think both have played. Fornals. But that game he was dropped. It was Fornals. It was against City, so it was he did it for protection. They're not going to face City again anytime soon. So you could make that argument.
He might play these type of games. I mean, to be honest, Bowen's numbers are great.
Yep. Yeah, his stats really are great. Good. His production was really good before the benching.
And Ben Ram has gone off a bloody cliff. So. Yeah. I think it's Bowen and Antonio. If you haven't, I mean, of course, Antonio needs a bloody goal.
But what if it switches back? How do you know it's not going to switch back to Ben Rahma?
Well, it might do. But I mean, what I'm saying is that at this moment in time, I don't know I'd bring Ben Rahma in.
It is interesting that as we're thinking of Antonio, keeping Antonio, or even bringing him in the next few weeks, the zonal matchups here wouldn't support that move.
Yeah, but they've been like that all season, to be fair. They've been poor all season. But saying that, so is he now. Apart from the first 4 weeks where he was tearing trees up, he's not been very good.
Yeah.
He's just had that very isolated one return, hasn't he? That very late goal. I can't remember who against, but no, and I still own him, and I'm probably gonna have to hold him now because I can see these fixtures coming. So, but we'll see anyway. Okay, so that's the matchups. I think it's nice to concentrate on some of the different ones.
I will. One I want to bring up really quickly, not to take too seriously, but to keep an eye on is Everton. Everton flanks.
Yeah, they're not terrible, are they?
I mean, nobody's saying. I'm not saying go get Townsend or go get Richarlison or anything like that.
Finish something. I mean,
yes.
If they've got no one to finish anything, then what's the point?
Yeah, but I'm just saying if those are decent for a team that's getting healthy, maybe coming together. Watch list players.
Yeah, I think so. Not just yet. I think I'm a while away from putting them on the watch list. If I'm honest with you, okay. I'm more interested in Brighton. Looking at that Brighton right at 3.6. Look, more interested in that than anything. But saying that, I'm very worried about Lamps' leg falling off if the games come too thick and fast. But I do like him. All right, Alchemist
this week, Emil Smith-Rowe, and the quote is, "A grain of sand is a moment of creation, and the universe has taken millions of years to create it." It's like each granular building block takes all of creation to build, and we have to value each grain of sand in our lives. So I'm giving the value to Smith-Rowe this week, and through all the hype of the mid-priced assets, whether you got on him at the right time or not, there was the Gallagher hype, and he's cooled off. Smith-Rowe has been on fire recently. Will he cool off is the question, and I say no. I think he is that kind of budget midfielder, the prime budget midfield option, and I'll explain why.
Okay, let's go.
So I noticed something. There's been a difference between Smith-Rowe in game weeks 1 through 5 and 6 through 11. Now it's taken me a long time to write this article, so some of this data is not current, not up to game week 14 at least. But so in the ESR started on the left in 7 game weeks this season, and he's scored in 4 of those, including 2 double-digit hauls. These heat maps kind of show his positioning in game weeks 1 through 5 compared to 6 through 11. For the podcast listeners, we have 1 through 5. It's like a scattered heat map on the right-hand side. So there's a little bit of activity on the left. I think he lined up on the left side in 1 match in the first 5 game weeks. So that's what that is. And then in 6 through 11, you see a much more concentrated heat map on the left-hand side, both on the outside left and on the inside left half space. We go to the next slide. Sorry, bear with me here. So in general, in general, when ESR lines up at the 10, he tends to be moved primarily to the right throughout the course of the game. And there's also some movement on the left, like we talked about. But so this is the Ødegaard effect. The Ødegaard effect is the following. So when he plays as one of the defensive mids behind Smith-Rowe, he has a tendency to move forward into Smith-Rowe's space. Smith-Rowe likes to have space in front of him. He attacks the ball from that space, kind of similarly to Gallagher, except he's more kind of, whereas Gallagher supports the pressure, Smith-Rowe kind of penetrates the pressure. So that when Ødegaard moves forward into that space, you can see it in the heat map there on the right. It pushes Smith-Rowe to the flanks. And this curbs Smith-Rowe's attacking threat because Ødegaard occupying the space in which ESR would normally run into, Ødegaard's kind of creating from that space. So there wasn't much synergy there initially, certainly not when Ødegaard plays behind Smith-Rowe. So in the 7 game weeks where Ødegaard has either not started or started at the 10 position, Smith-Rowe has 50 fantasy points. So it's a slightly over 7, an average of 7 per 90, 7 per start, I should say. So next slide shows us the ESR and Ødegaard heat maps in game weeks 6 through 13. So this you can see how this tactical setup just it looks like it's more balanced. It looks like this puzzle fits better than the previous one. Just if you go up to the previous slide really quickly, Mariner.
Hang on a second. I'm just talking to the wife. There we go.
No, that's the next slide. Go to the previous.
Oh, I've jumped past it. Sorry. No.
Go back. So we see how these two heat maps are scattered. It's like pockets, like small pockets of possession around the field. Now if we go forward.
Hang on. I'm trying to get there. Wait a minute.
Good Lord, man. Welcome.
There's things going on here. The things going on here. The cat's just jumped over the wall.
Things going on. So here we have the concentrated heat maps that kind of show that the two players are playing a little more synergistically. They're playing together a little bit more. Let's see. So we can see both players kind of more. We can see they're more defined roles like of influence here. And in this one, ESR holds back with Odegaard's line before making his late runs towards the goal at an angle. And I think holding back with Odegaard serves him much better than pulling to the side as Odegaard fills his space. So just to kind of back this up with some game footage, some screenshots of the game footage here. This is the Burnley match in Gameweek 5. First, and I'm just going to show this play to show the dynamic. So we see that's ESR all the way on the far side there. Actually, these two images, this is my fault. They should be flipped. The right one is first as ESR pulls to the right side and goes to the line. He receives the ball, but obviously there's no space. Burnley are covering that quite well. He can't penetrate into who is that in front of him. I can't tell. So he has to pass the ball back, and we see Odegaard filling that space in central midfield, right? With no space on that right side, though. ESR's role is merely to pull the defense wide. You know, this works out for the team. It's a good role for the team, but it's not work out for his fantasy production. Defenders do have to pull wide because of ESR's pace, so they have to make that jump, and it opens up the space in the middle where Odegaard is stepping forward. We can go to the next slide.
Okay.
And then lastly, like this is where you see Odegaard is about maybe, about 20 yards outside the 18. He has space in front of him to dribble as the front line is really, you see Aubameyang and Saka kind of holding the back line closer towards the 18. And in this situation, you want Odegaard on the ball. You don't want ESR here because Odegaard is better with the ball at his feet than ESR is. But the problem here is, look, we have ESR Island. He's just isolated on that right side, and he's not part of the attack anymore. His job is fulfilled, and he's spread the defense apart. That just shows how ESR is not a good fantasy option. But in the last roughly in the last 7 game weeks, there have been a few exceptions. ESR has played on the left-hand side, and his production has been much better. As long as that role continues, I think he's the best budget midfield option.
Well, I still own him. I have no intention of selling him. I still see people trying to buy him, and his price keeps going up, so that's okay. So I'm quite happy to hold him. I do think he missed quite an I think one of those headers, you know, how did I say it? I think I in between a number of expletives when I was watching it on TV, I think something along the lines of, I could have effing well scored that.
I mean, he's a diminutive midfielder trying to score a header in the box. Like, I think we have the expectations. That's not his game.
I'm a rotund Grimsby lad who's 51, and I reckon I could have scored that.
Well, there's more of a target. You're more of a target.
I'm just saying that I wouldn't have got in the box in the first place. But anyway, that's another subject, right? Thanks, Gabe. No, that's great. I mean, look, lovely to hear what comments are and how many people own Smith Rowe. If you don't, do you intend to bring him in? I certainly think he's still got some decent matchups going forwards. I'm not sure he's a consistent starter for me. I think he is a rotation. He rotates with others for me. But saying that, I've been burnt by Smith Rowe rotation before now, twice.
I think with Smith Rowe, you can look at the zonal matchups.
I think so. That's fair.
And especially zonal matchups, and we'll get to this soon. Combining left and center, because it takes care of the left and it takes care of the half space in the middle. like that inside channel, the inside forward channel that he likes to penetrate. So
yeah,
that's what I would look for.
Okay. All right, good. So that's your little Smith Rowe piece. So let's have a look at differential of the week. So what we thought we'd do is something a bit different now. Is we thought we keep trying to mix it up within that haul, and obviously we're not doing the regular stuff this week because we just haven't got time. We wanted to do the fixed difficulty for once in a while. And differential of the week this week, I had a quick look at this and I thought, right, who could it be? I thought under 10% owned, which is what I'm terming a differential for this. Gabriel Jesus, 8.7 million, 121.7 fixture difficulty, very favourable fixture difficulty. 5.2 points per 90 away when they're playing Watford, who are struggling defensively. And the matchups supports him. I'm a little bit worried about his rotation, I've got to be honest, having played last night. But saying that, did he rest the week before?
Yeah, he rested at the weekend.
I quite like him. I'm just wondering, again, another topic, is he the way to get into City rather than Foden and or Bernardo and or Gundogan? Because I know he's more expensive than them, but there's just so many options in midfield, particularly if Manchester United come back into the fray. And I'm looking at the Manchester United assets, to be honest, quite closely now. And I'm looking at Bruno. I'm going to look at Bruno. I'm going to look at Rashford, and I'm going to look at Sancho. And I would love to look at Greenwood, but I don't think he'll be an option. But that makes me think, can I actually cover City by somebody like Jesus at 8.7 million as one of my Kane replacement? It's certainly crossing my mind.
I like it, I have to say, because you mentioned going back to Andy, let's talk FPL's point. There aren't many options on the forward line, so the opportunity cost. I mean, not the opportunity cost. I guess. Getting a midfielder would mean sacrificing maybe more value options in midfield or emerging options, like you stated, Manchester United options. That they could be options. They're not yet, but they could be. Although some people, they're getting Sancho in now and stuff. I think it's a little early. I think Gabriel Jesus is a decent shout. Again, he's 8.7 is a lot for what he brings, and he's not going to get the clean sheet point. So you're paying more for less avenues to points, and that's what doesn't sit well with me.
But the only thing I'm thinking of is, do you get you might not get quite the benefit from him, but it might open up something else within your team. So you actually do something different in midfield. An indirect sort of effect rather than a direct effect, if you see what I'm getting at.
But I like it. I like it as a differential of the week. And we were talking about. I mentioned Foden. So if we're making the comparison with Foden, he's cheaper. He's, I believe, 0.8 million cheaper. He'll get the clean sheet points, right? He'll get the extra points for goals, but he takes up a valuable midfield slot, right? So that's the balance.
I mean, basically, it looks like it's going to be Jesus or Watkins for me. That's basically where I'm sat now. And then, of course, I've got Foden, Gundogan, Bernardo, and the two United lads.
And then that's the other thing, right? Like if you go Jesus, then if you go Watkins, then you can still go one of the City boys in midfield.
Yeah, I can.
And saving them both, saving on Watkins and then saving on that City. So I'd probably lean towards that, but I like this shot.
I'm a little bit just on the borderline. I'm just thinking, as particularly because my feeling is I get the impression that the template's starting to move, and it's going to move into that mid-priced midfielders. I'm talking sort of 7 to 9 million sort of slot. Yeah. I think we've had a big void there for most of the first 15 game weeks, and I've got a feeling we're moving towards that mid zone. And whilst you've got Salah, who's a perma captain at least until he goes to the AFCON, right? You don't need to worry too much about captaincy. You just need to worry. Yes, of course, we might have to swing it around when Salah goes. But until then, providing he stays fit, then this gives you the opportunity to punt on these players. I think a little bit of a punt anyway, but certainly I think work in comparison, sorry, in what's the word I'm bloody looking for? Working as, looking at them as a group of players rather than just one individual with respect to, combination is the word I was trying to find. I found it eventually. But anyway, all right, so that's the differential. Should we have a very, very quick break? Then we've just got the captaincy metric and then a couple of some Twitter questions, and then just to see if there's any questions in the gang, from the gang here. So let's quickly play the advert.
Are you craving more FPL content? Then look no further than allaboutfpl.com. Head over there for weekly articles from some of the top content creators on the planet. So what are you waiting for? Head over to allaboutfpl.com, the website for all your FPL needs.
What are you waiting for? There we go. Well, what are we waiting for? We're waiting for Mo Salah to blank, aren't we? Is it ever going to happen?
This is, the quickest segment of the show.
Yeah, doesn't take long, does it?
Nope.
Captaincy metric 77%. It's now picked Salah for the 7 weeks on the trot. In fact, if I hadn't have been clever, it would have picked him for 9 weeks on the trot, 10 weeks on the trot actually, because I did adjust it very slightly to take into account some odds. And game week 7, it just pipped Lukaku, just pipped him. And if I had left it as it was, it would have been Salah then as well. But yeah, there we go. 77%, slowly but surely getting up there. But it's a bit of a non-story, isn't it?
Yep.
Bit of a non-story.
I love it. It's the best thing that ever happened to FPL.
It is actually, because it gives us a chance to actually look at other things rather than captaincy. And this is but shut the front door. Admitting it's only a small poll. I only posted it briefly, and I haven't had a chance to even update it, so I don't even know what it is on the channel now. But when I checked it earlier in the day, Salah was only 52% selected in the poll. That's and I gave a load of choices. Kane and Son, Gundogan or Bernardo. I'm captain and defender, or Manchester United attacker. So I give plenty of opportunities for people to try and say I'm going to go for someone else. Kane and Son, 29% between them. So Salah 52%, Kane, Son 29%, Gundogan 6%, Gundogan and Bernardo 6%, defender 8%, and some people are going to have a go at Manchester United as well at home to Crystal Palace. So interesting. I still think, look, his ownership is so high. Even if 50% of the people captain him, he's still going to be 150% EO.
Yeah.
My simple way of playing this game is I'm very simple when it comes to things like this, is why would you even consider going against him? I think owning the other players is more than enough.
It's not, for me, it's not even about enough or anything like that. It's just, it's about protection. It's about protecting your rank. You can't go a guy that has not blanked in 12 game weeks. You're gonna not captaining this player is an act of idiocy, in my opinion.
Well, you've got to own it. You've got to own it.
It's just really obvious. I don't know.
Yeah, well, it is, isn't it? There's the metric again, and well, no shit, Sherlock, it's Salah again. But it was actually, this was printed up yesterday before I had a chance to redo it, and of course, he's now at 100%, not 92%. He has returned in every one of the last 12 fixtures.
Yeah, so this goes back 12 game weeks, 12 matches. And it has, like you said, it hasn't been updated. So the 100% return in the last 12. I think the haul percent went up to 42%.
Yeah, it's gone up to 42% as well.
So hauling about half of the time.
Yeah,
and returning all of the time. They captain that player.
Rotation risk this week. 89% chance of any time return. Metric of 100. Second, Kane. 87. Well, actually, joint second with Jota and Mane. I mean, he just blows everybody out the bloody water.
Yeah, it's easy.
Yeah, Kane's my vice captain this week.
Son's mine, I think.
I don't mind admitting that. So, but you know, at the end of the day, that's where we are. Kane over Son, according to my metric. Just to let you know. Don't quite know how, but anyway, there we go.
Yeah.
I've no idea how, Gabe.
I don't know either.
I'm not even that interested in it because it's just so boring at the moment.
Yeah.
But we'll keep doing it because it's important to keep doing the metrics.
You see Sav in the chat. FPL underscore Sav.
Doing a vice captaincy poll. He's right. He's
right.
Right. He is dead right. So anyway, that's the captaincy. Nice and short and sweet. Let's go to these Twitter takes and Twitter questions.
Before we get to the questions, can I just read out? So I put out when I promoted the show, I put out a call for hot takes from the week because the weeks are coming so thick and fast that just get some hot takes. One person answered, so I'm gonna do him the benefit of I'm gonna read his answer since he took the time to reply. This is from @tweetwham. So these are his 6 hot takes of this past game week. 1, Alonso still poor. 2, Ziyech seems interesting. 3, Watford took the game to Chelsea. 4, Maddison on the shopping list. 5, Maupay and Bilva submit goal of the month contenders. And 6, Liverpool ruthless. I like those takes. I agree with all of them, I think, actually. I think Watford did take the game to Chelsea. I think they surprised Chelsea at the beginning of the match, and that match changed after the stoppage, where the fan had the heart attack. I think that changed the match because Watford they looked sharp when they started.
Yeah.
And I agree. Ziyech does seem interesting. Watch this guy to keep for maybe long term to see if he gets some consistent run. Maddison he's done well the last 2 against. Shout out to absurdologist Zach, who kind of pointed that out a couple weeks ago. Still,
he did.
Remember, still not an option for me. I just don't know what Leicester are doing. I don't know what Braj is doing. So, I actually didn't see Maupay's goal. But I would throw. I like Pukki's goal. just reminded me of the Pukki party days.
I like the Diaz goal personally. That's purely for my rank.
Selfishly.
Very much so. I really enjoy it.
So thanks for the hot takes there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tweets WHam.
So let's have a look at these then. So we've got FPL _Sleepy Jedi. Strange sort of name. Anyway, there we go. So, right. So you're saying before Mr. Cornetto leaves for AFCON, he faces Newcastle away, Watford and Everton home in the next 5. Worthwhile? ? Burnley were poor against Wolves, though. Gabe, you are hot on Cornet, correct?
I like Cornet a lot.
So it's Cornet, not Cornet.
Oh, nice. Look at you, Mariner. I am. I like, let's see, before this, and it's not just Watford and Everton the next 5, right? You're looking at, so Newcastle, right, this week, which is great. West Ham will be without Cresswell. Right. So that could be an opportunity. You mentioned Watford. Villa have not been good defensively. Everton have not been good defensively. Then they have United, who have not been good defensively. Then Leeds, who have been actually better. They've been decent. Then Leicester, who have been terrible. And then not until they face Arsenal in the 22nd of January do they have somewhat of a tricky matchup. But then they go Arsenal, United, Liverpool. So I think it
is Burnley, right? I know what you're saying, but it is Burnley. I think we have to temper it. We have to temper this excitement a tiny bit. You know, Manchester United are not going to be shit forever.
Right. Let's see. 5, 6. Burnley have scored 9 goals in the last 5 matches. And that includes, they had a 0-0 draw, obviously, with Wolves. So it is Burnley, but who is Burnley? Who are Burnley?
Well, I mean, look, Cornetto,
we don't know.
Cornetto's a different beast compared to the rest of Burnley. As I say, it's like chalk and cheese compared to him, isn't he? To the way that the rest of them is crazy. Okay, so you're going to say yes. I quite like him, and I think he's a good punt, actually. Yeah. I quite like him.
And at like
I'm just
2.5%
playing with you a
ownership.
little bit, really. I'm just sort of like, I just like to test it a bit because I do. Burnley, you're looking at a Burnley midfielder. When was the last time we looked at a bloody Burnley midfielder other than the compare?
Not since you picked up Vidra last season.
Well, no, he's a midfielder. He's a forward.
He's a forward. That's right.
Yeah. Well, I've got the compare. I've had the compare all season. 1-2, 1-2, 1-2. Brown.
Yep.
Anyway, right. FPL banger. Siver, by the looks of things. Possibly. It could be Sam. Who knows? I don't know who's got the account these days. Antonio out this week. He'd love to get rid of them, but preferred replacements, King and Dennis have a tough fixture. Very, very good point. I was in a similar situation, but I needed to get rid of Huang because he was stinking my team out, quite frankly. Bloody worst move of the season. I'll give you this one. I think, look, I would question whether you need to move him out at all. That would be me. I think the fixtures are turning. I think if you've got him now, I'd probably hold him. If I was getting rid of him, depends if you've got 2 free transfers or not now. Why not just make a move? If you're holding 2 free transfers like I have, I've actually brought Dennis in just as my transfer for this week, and that then sets me up for the following week. I don't mind benching Dennis; it's not a problem.
Yeah, you can bench your transfer. That's allowed.
So that's what I'm going to do. Preferred replacements. Yeah, I mean other replacements. Watkins is a few weeks out as well, isn't he?
Yeah.
Let's face it. Pookie, I can't yet.
No way. Not even yet. Like just no. I'm not. But you're gonna want Antonio next week against Burnley, right?
Yeah.
That's the thing. Antonio could go nuts in that game.
Absolutely. Okay. Right. Next one. So we've got Akib. Best time to pick a back 5 premium.
Last week,
Akib.
Yeah, do it. Well, but
not this week. Not this week. Last week.
Well, here's what I'll say to that. So I went in on the back 5 premium before Gameweek 14. It didn't exactly work out. They all got 1s except for DS this time. But I like it. I look at my team and I like it. But it is an awkward fit. It's like a pair of underwear that doesn't fit quite right. It's like maybe like too tight in the back and too loose in the front or something. I don't know. No, you don't wear underwear.
Do you have underwear like
that? I used to. I don't wear it. So it feels like an awkward fit, and it probably won't last for too long. But I like the big back 5.
I'm happy with 4 actually. I'm quite happy with 4 and 1 cheap one. And I think that's probably how I'm going to do, because I just think it balances the team a tiny bit better. That's all. Although I do like your team.
With the back, it feels good because I don't think I'll ever miss a clean sheet for those teams.
Have you missed one this week?
Well, but I got the return from Diaz. I mean, if nobody gets a clean sheet, what I'm saying is I'm not going to miss any due to rotation or anything like that, because not all of them will be rotated, right?
But the thing is, I think it's pretty template. I think the template will stay fairly so. I think the risk is with this is that you've got Diaz. Okay, so I mean you've got Diaz. He's a fairly solid non-rotation risk player, right? But then you've got players like James and Alonso, both who are potential rotation risk. Cancelo, potential rotation risk, and you've got Trent, who's fairly locked. So you've got potentially 3. If it drops wrong, it could hurt you.
Here's what I'll say. Cancelo is as nailed as Trent this season.
No, so he is. You're right.
So those two, I would call them nailed. I think Diaz is a little bit of potential rotation proof. Maybe not with Stones out. That might change things a little bit. But if Diaz is not rotation proof now, right? Cancelo and Diaz are both nailed. There's city coverage, and actually, I think Alonso is nailed. I don't. Like, again, I'll say I'm not buying the narrative that Azpilicueta is going to go play there because he played there 3 times 7 years ago on the left side. Reece James has no left foot, so he's not going to play on the left-hand side. Callum Hudson-Odoi could maybe play there, but again, that's an odd fit out of position. So I think Alonso's pretty nailed. I think Diaz is pretty nailed, and I think Cancelo's pretty nailed.
Are Chelsea going to concede a few more goals with Alonso in the team?
So if we look at the beginning of the season, right, with Alonso in the team, I'm just going to bring it up here really quickly.
Just a quick question.
Yeah, history. So they had a clean sheet in 5 out of the first 6 matches. They had clean sheets with Alonso.
Okay, poo-poo's that idea then. All right,
but
just a thought. It was a thought.
Conte needs to get healthy. So I mean, it's not ideal, right? But
no, absolutely. All right then. So that's that one. So last week, Akib. But anyway, thank you for the question. Neil Reynolds, who's the best Jimenez replacement? Well, I think we've already pretty much covered that to a certain extent. I'm going to fire out Watkins, and also if you've got the cash, Jesus. And if you haven't, and you want to do something and pump some money into midfield, then I think you're at you're in King and Dennis territory.
Yeah,
I think that's where you basically are. Is Lamptey as good or even better than premium value defenders? The answer to that is at this moment is no, in my view. He is a risk too far with this fixture crunch. I love Tariq Lamptey. He is a great FPL asset. I want him to be fit for a few weeks, and then I will almost certainly bring him in. But I want him to be fit, and I want him to get to a point where he's not playing every 4 days. I want him to get through this period.
I mean, I will say, that's one concern. The injury is a concern. Rotation is another concern. He started 3 straight, and then he was rested.
Yeah, they're not just going to bring him back in and just launch him at all this fixture run, are they?
They eased him in, and he didn't start the first 3 matches he came back, right? He subbed on, and then he started the next 3, and then he was rested. What I will say is he returned in 2 out of the 3 that he started, and then he returned when he came. He got an assist when he came on as a sub. So I like Lamptey as your 5th defender.
Yeah. Maybe to support, maybe a Livramento replacement, perhaps.
I think so.
If you've not got that, if you've not got the worry quite so much, I would also say you haven't got that, and this is another important point. You haven't got that dead forward. If you've got that dead forward, I don't know how to do it. If you've got someone like Brownhill sat there rotting 3rd bench, then at least if Lamptey's leg does fall off, you've got an opportunity to get some points because he is nailed.
Yeah.
But I love Lamptey. I think he's brilliant. And Kartik here's thinking about getting both Dennis and King, both cheap. What's there to lose? Well, probably rank, I would say. So
I don't know.
I don't think I mean, my personal view is here, and it's just my view. You might disagree with me. I think it's a step too far given the way that Watford are. They will score goals, no doubt, but they're not. I can't see them freely scoring goals week in, week out. I really can't.
I mean, if you don't want to invest too much money in your forward line, I think I'd agree with you. It is a little bit too much, too far. Like you never want to play both of them. And then how do you choose which one to play?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, this is where it becomes difficult as well, because I'm just going to throw you some stats about Dennis and King just to finish this section off. So Dennis is 5, but I think he's 5.3. He's just gone up, I think, overnight, didn't he? He's got an XI, goals and assists of 0.97 per 90. And he's got 5 times more big chances created than King. All right. King is 5.7 million. He's got a 0.99 XI. And he's got 3 times more big chances created than Dennis.
Wait, how does Dennis have 5 times more big chances created than King?
Big chances created and big chances different. Big chances created is Dennis. Big chances is King.
Oh, you said
King's your goal scorer, generally speaking. King's your goal scorer, probably. Dennis is probably more assister, but he does have goals in his bank in his back pocket as well. I think Dennis is a better opportunity of a return, actually. Oddly enough, although King is on penalties. So
Right.
do you know what? It's a coin flip. If you want the cash, though, I've gone Dennis. That's the reason why I've gone. And of course, you've got Abcon as well.
Yeah, I like Dennis because of the savings, and for not being King is maybe getting the better, I guess, goal scoring, or Dennis is creating for King, but Dennis still has 3 goals in the last 3.
Yeah, I know. And the quality of the goal he scored in that bloody blizzard was a fabulous finish, wasn't it?
Yeah,
fabulous. So anyway, right, that's the show. Should we answer a few questions?
Yeah,
we should really only answer about 5 minutes worth because I think we've covered a lot of the points off. And I'm just a bit mindful of time, but let's have a quick look. Have you seen any?
No.
Let's start it. I'm going to trundle back about 30 minutes and just go for it.
So here's one from Sav at 22 past the hour. You see it?
Right. 22 past the hour. What, of 12?
Of 9:22. I don't know what time it is for you. Yeah, 12:22.
Right, okay, right, here we go. Right. So who would you guys 1 week punt for a differential forward, 7 million or below? I already have Tony.
1 week punt. Interesting.
Is there any?
7 million below. Hold on, I'm bringing it up real quick.
I'm rattling back and looking at the fixtures.
I mean, Chris Wood.
Yes, Chris Wood. That's the answer.
Or Saint-Maximin.
Chris Wood.
I'm gonna go with Saint-Maximin. X Lively, baby. Come on.
Chris Wood for me.
Chris Wood is the opposite of X Lively. Dead wood.
Ignatius, Cody to Tomiyasu or White, good transfer. Well, Arsenal's defense is not terrible. I mean, some people are jumping off Arsenal defense at this moment, are they? Where are they with respect to fixture difficulty going forwards? Let me check that. If my mouse has stopped working now, for crying out loud.
I'd like to know who his other defenders are, and who his other players are if he has that 4.5 dead forward. If not, then I'd Lamptey for the upside. If you have adequate cover, I'd prefer Lamptey. I think Tomiyasu is a recency bias pick because of his what he scored.
I think it's actually a question where we've had this question many times. Who else do you have? Who do you have in goal? Who are your other defenders? If you've got, for example, Sanchez in goal, then an Arsenal defender's a good option. If you've got Ramsdale in goal, then you probably go someone like Lamptey. Yeah. I think that's the way we'd probably answer that.
But in general, I think it's a decent transfer. Wolves fixtures are turning, and Arsenal is just solid long-term picks.
Yeah, just a general point from Donny. I'll read this out. It's a good point. Please ensure you think carefully on your vice captain if Salah's captain this coming game week. Salah was rested in early December last season. Cue meltdown. Cue FPL meltdown. That'll be excellent. That'll put the cat among the pigeons, won't it?
Yeah.
It would be bloody brilliant. I can't bloody wait for that. That'd be hilarious. I'd have a laugh at that one. From Lennox Desborough. Hi, guys. Best replacement for Sarr. He served me very well as a differential, but Wolves fixtures now turn very bad. Goalkeeper transfer. I mean, over the course of the season, I would just say hold him. Personally, I don't like goalkeeper transfers unless he's burning a transfer and he's got no other fires. I would personally just stay with him. What do you think, Gabe?
Yeah, I mean, if you think a transfer is worth 4 points, then I think you can maximize that transfer elsewhere. Just take it on the chin with Zaha. He's giving you good points, and
he'll get save points.
Maybe.
Probably. He might get a few save points this week. Quite a few. I think he'll be busy. I've got a feeling he'll be busy.
He'll be busy.
I don't think
and remember, he's great at home. So let me just check these fixtures that are coming up for him. Never mind. He has City away. Whatever. Liverpool home, City away.
Yeah.
Just take it on the chin.
Right. Okay. Just looking for. There's another one. Donny again. Manchester United assets for future game weeks. Views on getting them in. Hold for Arsenal and Palace. Maybe it looks like pre-planned moves to Ronaldo is too much now. Tend to agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm looking at options. You've probably heard my general move would have been Kane to someone like Ronaldo. I'm not probably going there now, unless he goes completely mad. Unless he just goes completely crazy in the next couple of weeks, then that might change my mind. I reckon they're a bit of a watch. I reckon you could almost sit and watch them for a couple of weeks, see what's going to happen, see who's going to play, see. Well, I mean, maybe Gabe, you need to put your lens on the team in the next week or two once you start to see how he sets up.
Yeah, I'll do a Rangnick evaluation. So it's like, I agree with you. Watch list players. Although I will say the top of the watch list for me right now is Rashford, because I think Rashford has the most chance to play in a high press 4-2-2-2. I think Sancho will be a little bit withdrawn in that, as he's not he doesn't press very well. So I would say Rashford, Sancho, and right now those are the two I'm looking at the most.
I quite like the Rashford shout. He's a little bit more expensive, but I think again, Sancho's just. Are we that sure about him? I'm still not sure about him. Clearly he's a fantastic player, and he's taken time to settle down. It might be this is the turning point for him, but I don't know that I would just bring him in and punt. I feel he's punty. I don't think Rashford's punty.
I think they're all punty right now, and it's worthwhile to keep an eye on both of those to see, one, where they play, and two, what their role is under Rangnick.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, and we've got this one here from Cannon Fodder. Love it. Cannon Fodder. Sounds like a cricket analogy, that does. Should I do Jimenez, Duffy, and Rafinha to Bernardo, Alonso, and Dennis for a -4? I'll have to do it tonight to avoid the price rises, though.
Do it.
That's a good... I like that. I really like that. And this brings us on to a general question, Gabe, and I want to just finish on this one. It's rather than taking any more questions. I made a point to you earlier on. I'd really love to hear what everyone else wants to hear about this as well. I find this year has been a very, very strange year when it comes to FPL. The template is so solid now. And moving on to finding that, if you, like me, for example, I'm a stats man, I look at numbers, it takes me time to evaluate it. I started very well. I am becalmed. I do not move fast enough onto these players. Do you know what I'm saying? By the time I move onto these players, they're already 30% owned. I've missed those 2 or 3 game weeks. How can we... It's a really difficult point, and I want to make a general point about it. Take Jota for point of fact, right? So if I'd have gone a week earlier on Jota and took a hit, it would have paid off.
I think that there's a... Go ahead, finish your thought.
And that's my point I'm making. I've trained myself to not move early, to not necessarily take hits. And I think at the moment, the template, particularly where I sit around 10K, is so... It moves a tiny bit. Everybody leaps on them, and then it's gone. Any differentials just vanished, just gone up in thin air.
The template is setting in very quickly, and it's setting, and it's entrenched. It entrenches itself very quickly this season. I think we touched on this last week in the show, in the matchup show here, Mariner. And I think the theme of this season so far is take the gifts that FPL gives you. You have to snatch them up. So Jota was a gift. When Firmino went down, you had to get Jota. So I think that's kind of the lesson of this season. When something happens, you have to jump. When Ronaldo was confirmed, you had to jump on Ronaldo right away. That's one mistake I made. I didn't get him that first game week against Newcastle. I didn't take a hit to bring him in.
Yeah, well, I did. That was the one I did.
And it worked.
Do. And it worked.
And that's what I'm saying. If you jumped early on ESR, it worked. If you jumped early on Gallagher, it worked. And then you jump off, right?
Then you didn't bench him for 2 weeks like me.
That's the other thing, right? But I think you're onto something. I think you have a point there. And that's the reason I went early on Alonso. Now it didn't work out. He got 1 point this game week.
I worked this week.
But it
worked this week. I'm really worried because I'm holding Kane for this week, and Kane is blocking me.
Yes,
doing all these other moves, but I can't move off Kane.
And
because moving off Kane against Norwich, right? I mean, you know what's going to happen. If I did that, you just know what's going to happen.
I mean, and that's why, a few weeks ago when Spurs fixtures were changing, that's one of the reasons, some managers favored Son, is because you still have some maneuverability because of the price, but you're saving 2 million.
You see, I was thinking I'm going back to Ronaldo, and of course that's not happened. They've gone off a cliff. It's an interesting point. I just wanted to make that general point just to finish the show.
I think you touched on another point here, and this is like people. I think people were getting too clever. It's like, well, I want to jump on Ronaldo, so Kane is the stepping stone. I mean, Dennis could be the stepping. I don't think that kind of thinking is like you're getting bad players because you want to move on to another player that also isn't playing well. That train maybe we need to look more granularly, like in the moments, more in the present moment.
Saying that though, I'm not going to take 20 hits this season. No way.
No, but you're not. You don't have to get Ronaldo. That's my point. Is everyone's saying, "Oh, I got to bring Ronaldo." You don't. You don't have to invest that much.
No, but that's where I am. I'm just like I say, it's particularly Liverpool now. I'm looking at Liverpool and I'm going, no, just postpone the game. I don't care.
It doesn't make a difference.
Snow, who gives a shit? A bit of stand blows off. I don't care. They're all 100% ownership anyway.
I'm starting to look at it like, okay, Salah is 196% EO. That means I'm getting 4% every time.
Oh,
I like the little.
Don't it just fill you? Don't it just boil your piss? But it's a funny way because what you're doing though is you've got those players, they're your glue, they're sat there just trundling away. Then you can concentrate on the other little players around the outside and try that. So, but yeah, I just have to say, I look at it and I go, what do you mean Yotta's 95% owned, for crying out loud?
Gerard from Fantasy Pavilion saying if you jumped early on Gray, on the prick Gray, for example.
No, but you're right. And, I mean, there'll be more. And I think my rule going forward now is that for the second half of the season, I'm going to be a little bit more aggressive. Just a bit. Mm-hmm. Just a bit. It's going to be considered hits, but it's going to be a bit more aggressive. And I think I'm going to have to do that because I think we're going to get left behind otherwise. And not so much left behind, but I'm not going to climb. I'm just going to sit there and be a bit becalmed, which is fine, But I just don't find it fun. Right. Okay, that's me finished, I think. That's the thought for the day. That's the Mariner's philosophy of the day.
Nice. I like that.
So there we go. Right. So that's the questions done. Lennox has thanked us for the answer on that. Okay. Absurdologies here is the reason you're not jumping early on people is the reason you're inside the top 10K. The reason I'm inside the top 10K, mate, is I started with Ben Rama and Antonio. And I had that big jump in the first few weeks. I had them both. And if I'd have seen Ben Rama, if Ben Rama would have scored those two or got those two, would I have moved game week 2? Probably not. Because that's the way I play. I would have said, no, that's his returns.
Yep.
You know me, Gabe. You know me. You know the way I play the game. So, but no, anyway, it's great fun anyway. Guys, I think we better knock it on the head. We've only got a couple of days before this bloody thing goes out and we'll crack on again, right? But let the baby pick the captain, Chris. Well, might do. I think the cat could pick the captain now and get it right for once.
You can give the captain one option.
Yeah, absolutely. Just one option. You pick just get that. Right, guys. All right. Let's get out of here. Gabe, thank you very much, mate.
Always a pleasure, my friend.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's hope for some green arrows. And guys, thank you very much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure. There's been the The chat's been lit again, as always. You guys are you're all absolute legends, you haulers. We are, delighted that you keep coming back to Net That Haul. Before you leave, smash that like button, please. And if you are new in, please do also hit the subscribe button. We'd be eternally grateful. But yeah, apart from that, I think we can get out of here. I think, Gabe.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Really pleasure chatting with you. And I gotta hand it to the haulers, because they always do smash the like. We have like the same amount of likes as some shows with 10 times the people in the chat. So legends, all of you haulers, may you haul again this weekend.
100%. Okay. All the best, everybody. Speak soon. Take care. Green arrows. Bye-bye.